the secret to great managers, I have been with Gallup for about 1,000 years. And, and literally, though, from the very first day I started up to this very conversation, whatever role I've had, I've always led a team, literally every day of my career. And I love it. And I love our topic because it's very personal. I'm very passionate about it, but I know all of you are as well, right? And I love this antidote, this secret to great managers, because it's so simple, but it's so profound, right? We can take all of the things that we've been discussing over the last day and more, and if we capture this secret, we can make all of it come true, right? Like it becomes literal, it becomes real. And for those of you who are familiar with strengths, I'm going to ruin the end of the movie, right? I'm just going to ruin it. I ruin lots of movies. Sometimes I'm even right about how they end, but I ruin them either way. But the secret to great managers that they settle in and rest on is one meaningful conversation per week with each person on their team. One meaningful conversation with each person on their team. Now, the big word in that statement, well, what's meaningful, right? That could be anything. It could mean everything. How do we get inside that space? And I think what we're going to find out, it's not so much about the volume aspect of those conversations, it's the value aspect of those conversations. That's where I want us to go deep down that well. What could that one meaningful conversation look like if we understand it, we implement it, and we do it well? So that's where I want us to go, is just keep exploring and mining what that meaningful conversation could look like. We're going to break this down, a couple things that we're going to walk our way through on. And we do have an agenda, but I like to say we'll tell it what it's going to do. It's not going to tell us what we're going to do, right? So if you have some things that get your attention, and again, I'm looking online, we want Chastity put the promise out there. We want your questions. We want to know what's on your mind. We want to create a conversation here. But, we talk about meaningful. Well, what does that mean, right? What's the math behind it? One of the things I really, and I think you all share this, I love data, not just for the recreational pursuit of it, because it informs our decisions, right? It changes our behavior if we use it in the right way. So it holds us accountable, in essence. What's the risk, what's the reward if we do these things or if we don't? And what's the manager role specifically, right, to make that math come alive, to actually mean something? We're going to shift that, though. If we have meaningful conversations, what does that do relative to those other conversations, air quotes, right, where things may not be going so well? Maybe somebody's job, right, might be at risk. Maybe there's some real sensitive issues. If we get upstream and we have these meaningful conversations, how do they mitigate for those situations and scenarios? And if they still occur, how does that cause us to lead through them and to them so much more effectively than we would if we were coming from behind? So we'll talk about that. And then what's going to be our move, right? When I talk about momentum, like literally at the end of this, what are we actually going to do? Right? Wouldn't it just be a waste of time and space if we showed up, we enjoy each other's company, we have a fantastic time, and clearly in the composition of the room, we will have a great time. But wouldn't that just be a tragedy if we didn't literally have the capacity to walk out and go do something right there better and different than we had before? So I think we deserve that. So we should probably deliver on that. So love to hear from your own consumption. What do you plan to do to move forward? If we shrink this down, here's where I'd love to have us go. So we're going to explore the most important conversations that we need to have with teams, specifically managers need to have with their teams. And in making it practical, you all know this, right, as coaches, but the highest order of this is just normal, right? If it's an event, if it's things we're coming from behind on, that's not normal, right? What if it just invades the conversations in so many ways? And again, you all know this, coaching is just a better conversation. It's the best conversation we could ever have. But conversations shouldn't be outliers, they shouldn't be exceptions. And then the correlation, right? What does that intentionality, the distribution of our involvement, the frequency and the focus, what's the optimal composition of that look like in a way that it genuinely converges and becomes meaningful? So that's what we're going to do.